clips of this interview with Hayden Panettiere in People magazine, but there is a lot more controversy going on behind this interview and behind the scenes. Feels like someone is capitalizing on addiction. This should not have been posted.
Sit outside of AA meetings looking for weak and vulnerable people that they encourage to go and relapse so they can then pick you up again.
It looks like a lot of celebrities are opening up in Hollywood this week, with Kelly Osbourne talking a little bit about her issues with drugs and how rehab taught her to be a better addict, which seems like there's a lot of issues going on with Kelly's life. We'll talk a little bit more about those, but I want to start off by talking about Hayden Panettiere. I've always found Hayden super fascinating, especially because she allowed her daughter to go and live in a war zone. I mean, gave up her daughter to go and live in Ukraine. We have a video on that story if you guys want to go check it out, but it looks like Hayden, for who years has struggled with drug and alcohol addiction, was clean and sober after spending time in an inpatient rehab facility in early 2020. She was also single, coming out of a physically toxic relationship with her ex-boyfriend, and grateful to be back at work on Scream 6. But then, just 3 weeks before the film's premiere in February 2023, the unthinkable happened. Her beloved younger brother Jansen died unexpectedly of an undiagnosed heart condition at just 28. Hayden's world was shattered, which I can't imagine that. Losing family members is something that you and I and every person who's human, which would be a person, have in common, and it's something so scary to think about. She said, quote, "He was my only sibling, and it was my job to protect him. When I lost him, I felt like I lost half my soul." Hayden then shared she didn't want to leave the house after being followed by photographers in the days after. She said, "I had to see horrific paparazzi pictures of myself coming out of Jansen's funeral, which happened in a very private place, and it was shocking. My agoraphobia," which we actually talked about this recently, which is like the fear of being in crowded places, came out, which is something I've struggled with in the past. Hayden goes on to share that because of all the stress and the cortisol going through her body, she just exploded, which I get that. Like, I get that same way. Like, whenever I get really stressed out, and even recently people have noticed like, "Oh, have you lost weight?" No, I'm just like less stressed, which I don't know how, but I'm loving this little like snatched look. But when you go through that trauma, you can like blow up from the stress, and she just didn't know how to deal with it. She said, "I didn't feel confident to put on clothes and get out of the house, but I also knew I needed to get out and keep moving, or I'd never stop looking and feeling this way." I think we can all relate to traumatic events happening in our lives and struggling with weight, whether you gain the weight or lose the weight. I mean, I wish it would be the opposite for me. I wish I would lose the weight when I'm stressed, but no, when I'm stressed, I am in the snack drawer.
Losing my little brother, there's nothing like, I mean, he was my only sibling.
Wow, she looks very different here. Also, we just talked about really deep and heavy stuff, and I want to say my heart goes out to Hayden. You hear that? That's my heart going out to Hayden. But I do want to acknowledge that when I came across the story and I decided to cover it, I saw a lot of people in the comments saying that she was not well in this interview. So let's like unpack that again. I probably wouldn't be either with all this trauma. So I get it, girl.
And he was my younger sibling, and it was my job to protect him. And when I lost him, I felt like I lost half of my soul. I remember saying to somebody, and it hadn't even been a year, and I was like, "Don't ever, ever expect me to get over the loss of him."
Really disturbing story and sad situation. Does she seem like she's not well? I want you guys to decide as for your comment. I mean, she did this interview. You guys can react like, "Hey, does it seem like she's like, you know, okay?" I mean, check in on her. She said she started working with a personal trainer named Marnie last year, and everything changed for her for the better. It seems like a lot of these personal trainers are also like life trainers. So they would take long walks and connect, and she really brought Hayden out of this rut. Hayden said that one of the lessons she learned in Jansen's death was when something that massive has happened to you, you really learn to pick your fights and not to let the little things upset you. Because when something so horrific, so deep, so catastrophic happens in your life, there's not much that can really rock you. And I have to say, she does seem very, very numb in this interview.
Time does heal things, but time can also make you think differently and ask different questions and wonder different things and realize different things.
This person commented, "You could really see and hear the medication she's on. I hope her heart heals a little more. It's so hard to lose so much of yourself." Another person writes, This is heartbreaking, but I don't think she's very well. Such a shame, Hayden. You are an incredible talent. I hope you can heal yourself.
I have caught clips of this interview with Hayden Panettiere in People magazine, but there is a lot more controversy going on behind this interview and behind the scenes. Fans are pleading with People magazine to take down this video, but People magazine is not taking that request seriously because they are receiving 1.6 million views on each one of these videos, also driving pages like Page 6 to put up headlines like this. Fans have said things like, "Take this video down, please. Have some respect and compassion. Feels like someone is capitalizing on addiction. This should not have been posted."
We are sending all of our love on this channel to Hayden and some healing powers. And you know what? You want to hear a conspiracy? I'm going to just go ahead. Okay, not a conspiracy. This is like just a quick Sloan take. Just because I hear, oh, this trainer came into my life is so much better. I'm not saying Hayden looks old at 35. There's something off, and I think it's something to do with medication. I have a conspiracy because living out here in LA and seeing all of these life trainers and personal coaches, these people are serpents who get into your lives, go on these long walks, they hear you out. Then they're like, you know what, you should do like ketamine treatment. You should do ketamine treatment. And all these weird little drug thingies that they think is healing them. And I'm not shading ayahuasca. I know that's like things that people cultural, and I don't know much about that. I'm not talking about that in particular, but I wouldn't rule that out in my conspiracy that could be used in some of these situations. Like maybe she's on her medicated tea that she drinks every day. And of course she's doing so much better because she's so effing high. She barely even knows where she's at. You know, she's 35 and she's walking and talking like grandma. It's like, okay, let's get it together. Okay, that's my Sloan rant. Again, nothing factual or reported there. That is just me, just like my reaction and living out here and thinking, I wonder why they name dropped this fitness coach in this article. Why, like what personal trainer needs to have their name out there? Oh, you go on long walks with them? Why are they building this name? Who is this person? It reminds you of the same person. His name started with H as well. The guy that put Kanye West into the mental hospital. Harley Pasternak? I believe it's Harley. It's not Hayden. Hayden Pasternak? No, it's like Harley Pasternak. But let's move on to Kelly Osbourne. She's saying rehab was a place where it taught her to be a better drug addict. I have so much empathy for people who are going through this kind of illness or have a loved one who's in it. Kelly revealed her first stint in rehab actually offered her a better lesson on how to obtain drugs than help her achieve sobriety goals. She's actually doing this feature on TMZ Investigates Matthew Perry, the secret celebrity drug ring, which is kind of like when oh my gosh, are we connecting two videos that are kind of aligned? Because I feel like we're talking about some things that maybe Hayden could be getting wrapped in, the conspiracy of it all. She said, I learned so many tricks, so many things that I never thought of from my fellow addicts in there. Kelly's addiction began when she was 13 years old after she was prescribed opioid medication following a routine tonsil removal procedure. And of course, growing up in the Osbourne family, the rock and roll lifestyle, it was easy for her to get addicted.
This rehab I went to was like university on how to be a better drug addict. I learned so many tricks, so many things that I never even thought of from my fellow addicts. Which
is true. I do think a lot of these people, I believe it was like Charlie Sheen's ex met Matthew Perry, who eventually connected him to the ketamine queen. I'm not a fan of the ketamine, no offense, I'm just not. No. Kelly has attempted rehab 7 times over the years. Well, good to her for putting up that fight. She remembered leaving meetings where she would see body brokers waiting outside of meetings for vulnerable addicts to hook them back into the cycle of addiction. She recently talked about how Vitakin was her gateway drug for addiction during her appearance on Red Table Talk, saying, I went from having every voice in my head like, you're fat, you're ugly, you're not good enough, to, I guess, all of a sudden having nothing. The opioids were then no longer effective, so she moved on to heroin. Ooh. I don't even think we could talk about that on YouTube. Let's talk a little bit about the potential of this drug ring. There's a headline that reads, Celebrity Drug Ring Exposed in New TMZ Documentary. I love how I think whispering this stuff is just going to keep me away from getting in trouble, but I just always get in trouble anyways. This report writes, celebrities like Kelly Osbourne talk frankly about doctors who will gladly fill prescriptions of known addicts to get close to the stars and make a lot of money. For example, Jackass star Brandon Novak talks about how he traded swag for the drugs in the doctor's offices. Can you imagine trading like a piece of designer clothing or something for a prescription?
They'll sit outside of AA meetings looking for weak and vulnerable people that they encourage to go and relapse so they can then pick.
Now that's just evil. That's truly evil. Especially out here in LA, I could totally see it. There's an industry of it. Kelly claims she would go to the pharmacy to fill her prescriptions without a parent present. We're talking about a 13-year-old getting hard, addictive drugs from a pharmacy, no question asked. The documentary explores how doctors, enablers, and even rehab centers are turning celebrities into addicts, sometimes with fatal consequences. Dr. Drew, who is everywhere. Oh, Dr. Drew, what is going on, man? He talks about how some of these doctors are downright sociopathic and discusses the dirty little secret of network MDs who regularly cross the ethical line by a mile. The documentary exposes a network that also includes various enablers and even rehab centers. Well, crap, I mean, there's some promotion for TMZ. Even though I really would love to be on the TMZ show, I've seen a few people like Sebastian Soto, friend of the channel, on the show. I'm manifesting this right now. If anyone knows how to get me on there, please. I try to reach out to them. I reach out to them on Instagram. I could do email too, I guess. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed your time with me. I enjoyed spending time with you. I'm just thankful that you guys are taking time out of your day to hang out with me, whether you're multitasking, laying down, relaxing. If you're going to bed right now, maybe a little like, look, I got a Stanley Cup. No more TJ Maxx, what is it called? Rusting $13 cup. This one was like 30, but whatever, you know, I'm going to bring it everywhere. I might as well like spend the 30 bucks and just get a Stanley. I would use my Trisha one, but I'm not. Actually, let me give you guys a little tour. You guys ever see this frame. So there's like my Sloan Hooks LED. Ah! I'm like, what's down here? Actually, there's nothing. And this is not like a tissue. I actually use this for Windex to wipe my camera. But I got my AirPods. I got a picture of Bunny, candle. I got little microphone stuff. Not me over here. Like I got my Trisha signed thing. Again, this looks so gross, but like you can see, it's kind of blue too. It's not like it's from Windex. Okay. And then over here, yeah. Oh, there's a door stopper. You guys are probably like, ooh, what is that? It's a door stopper. It's not like a piece of black poo. There's no animals living here. Not like, you know how they said Ryland would leave little poopies everywhere. Where is that from? Ryland's little poopies. Now I feel like this is wrong. See, I like to use the two things as like my voice as like little like, you know. So they both. I try to make them equal between like that. Kind of looks like I'm scooped in. I don't know. Love you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.